Hello, and welcome to episode 318 of Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast in all of the internet. My name is Jordan Willis.
My name is David Howe, and boy, we got a great show for you guys today, and we have some very special guests joining us on today's episode. We've got the wonderful Rory Blank and Tommy Green on the show. How's it going, guys?
Good, thanks for having me.
Hot in here. I'm in my garage, which has no air conditioning, and I just remembered also this is facing a public street, so if you hear like motorcycle sounds or really loud music for like half a second, I have no control over that.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
We love
and
that.
if I pass out on screen, that's normal.
That's content.
That's content. Yeah, exactly. That's amore.
Well, Rory and Tommy are here to talk with us. We're doing a Donkey Kong Bananza spoilers episode. We gave our impressions on a previous episode, and today we've all beaten the game, at least rolled credits, and some of us have beat various amounts of the post-game content, and we're all going to talk about that and get into that. But before we get into all that, of course, we're going to cover the news. There was an Indie World Showcase, is probably the biggest thing that happened. There are some new Nintendo patents for a crank and clickable wheel. Also, Red Octane is back randomly. So, we're going to get into all of that news. But before we start with that, how's everyone doing today?
I'm having a pretty good week, I think, for the most part. We're recording a little bit early, so apologies if we miss any late breaking news from Monday. But, my job is wrapping up. That's been kind of going for a bit. Got some somewhat not great news about potential future projects. Hopefully we still have work coming in, but your boy might be unemployed for a fair bit of time. So pray for me, fam, and maybe it's time that I finally make another movie, But last night, yeah, I'll make another movie. It won't be about a brother and sister that fall in love this time. What else happened? I had a birthday party last night. That was fun. It's just my birthday in general was this past week. My parents came into town.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It was a blast. Went to Red Lobster with my parents, and I got a Mechanism gaming pillow. Have you guys been seeing the Instagram ads for those things?
No.
I basically didn't stop getting ads for this fucking gaming pillow. And it's like a pillow with an arm on it that you attach your Switch to or a Steam Deck to. So you can not hold it, I guess. I don't know. I was like, my dad was like, what do you want for your birthday? And I was like, get me this. So I stopped getting ads for it on Instagram. And I'll tell you what, I'm still getting ads for it on Instagram.
You need two.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I only need one pillow. But no, it was a good time. It was a nice party last night. Thanks for coming, Jordan. Patrick was also there. There were a bunch of Switch Heads at the party last night. So that was really nice to see. But what about y'all? How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. I did go to Las Vegas since I last was here. That was pretty fun. That is a very bizarre and crazy place to witness. I don't even know. I didn't hate it. I really thought I wasn't going to enjoy myself, but I mean, the amount of really good food that gets imported there was just awesome. Some of the restaurants there are world class. So that was cool. And we saw Piff the Magic Dragon and BattleBots, both of which were very fun shows and fulfilled my childhood needs in a weird way. I don't know. That was cool. But yeah, went to David's birthday party. That was a lot of fun. And then today I was hanging out at a pool. I also saw Eddington finally, which was, I thought was pretty fantastic.
I love that movie.
Was not really ready.
I like it more the more I think about it.
Yeah. I saw it twice. I had to see it a second time, and I'm glad I did because I just
I also
a lot of movie there.
Saw it at the theater that we used to work at, Jordan.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I saw it at South Amara. I worked there. It was a little closer to where I live, but yeah, I thought about going up there. But
almost anybody who works there anymore.
Or the lobby.
Yeah, the lobby's quite different at the Village right now. Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much other than that, just kind of taking it easy, trying to recover from Vegas. And but Rory, how you doing?
Not bad. Mostly just hot. I am again in a room with no air conditioning.
You've got a fan. You've got a fan on.
Sheet of metal right over there that is directly facing west as the sun is setting here in town. The only thing between me and it is some sheets of foam board that I set up.
Yeah.
What were you doing in Vegas? I've been twice this year for various reasons.
I just went with my friend. We wanted to take a small little getaway, and it was like cheap. So we were like, yeah, why not? And
it's the cheapest flight there is a flight to Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a flight and a 3-night stay at the Venetian like combo. And I was like, this is a beautiful hotel. Yeah. And, we mostly hung out like north at like Fremont. We went there a couple times, and then also like the Arts District. We walked the Strip a bit, and I did shoot 2 rolls of film, all with the kaleidoscope that I have. So because I thought, just like the lights in Vegas are going to look
light bulbs that are like 75 years old or something like that.
Did you at any point end up taking a taxi on the highway around the Strip? Because that is actually my favorite thing to see in Las Vegas.
No, I did. I mean, we took a taxi from the airport and saw a decent amount, but I think my favorite thing, just a real quick shout out to this place called Bar Ginza. It was like a Japanese whiskey focused bar, and he had some really insane imports that I don't know if I've ever seen anywhere in Austin or Texas in general. So that was really cool. That dude was super chill and knew a lot about Japanese whiskey. So that was probably my favorite spot that we ended up visiting.
My favorite spot there is the Golden Tiki, which is a 24-hour tiki bar in Chinatown.
Cool.
We went to Frankie's, so yeah, but that was like next on the list.
Yeah. Let's just go back to Vegas. Like, what are we doing here?
I will absolutely go again. But yeah, what I was going to say is just like this. The reason why this is stuck in my head is like, so if you go on the highway that I think is like west of where the Strip is, if anyone's in Las Vegas and actually knows the geography and I'm wrong, please don't tell me. But there's like one angle you can go around the outside of the Strip where you just see like the back ends of all of the buildings. The part that is not like the front facing part that they want you to see, and everything just looks sparse, barren, and dead.
I fuck with it.
Yeah.
Even when the Strip is like incredibly lively, it just looks like you're going backstage.
Yeah.
The thing there is incredibly mundane.
Last time I was there, I stayed at Circus Circus. I was there with my brother. Which is just like kind of the trashiest like hotel.
It's pretty bad.
It's trashy. But so I stay there, and I like missed the entrance, and I was like, oh, okay. I was like super stoned because weed's legal there. And I'm walking around, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll just go around the building. It's like, it took me like 40 minutes to walk around the building. Yeah. And it's like in these like dank ass alleyways. I was like, what? That's the real Vegas experience, I think. But what about you, Tommy? You have a good week?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, nothing too eventful. Went out with Sarah for lunch and Cesar Chavez this weekend. It's a little easy.
Yeah.
With the day nada.
Yeah.
Little eat and drink exploration. Nothing much. Just playing too much Donkey Kong, honestly. But I'm almost done with everything in it, and I got some stuff on my list.
Yeah,
so
hell yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Hell yeah.
Love to hear that. We're going to be getting all into Donkey Kong Bananza. Can't wait to talk about that with you guys. But before we get into that, we've got some news. And before that, we got some shout outs. So I do want to give a couple shout outs from comments that we got on last week's episode, which was all about the first Direct of the Switch 2 era. We had a Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase, and we had some great comments on there. I want to shout out Carosetta, who said, Super Switch Headz, an intimate one-on-one conversation about video games. Thank you for that. That was a nice little intimate one-on-one conversation with just me and Summer last week. That was a fun one. JC Redfang says Adventures of Elliot demo caught me off guard with how polished it was. Day one purchase for sure. And the Shinobi demo completely blew JC Redfang away as well. And then Dylan Muss said, I am extremely rodent-pilled is my favorite quote from this episode. That was Summer talking about the mouse-themed games that they've been playing recently. So that was nice to see. There's a lot of mouse-themed games, and really it makes me just want a Redwall game, like a good-ass Redwall game. Where is it? We also need like a movie. Anyway, we need more Redwall in general. We're going to move on from that. But if you too would like to be shouted out, listener, you can leave us a comment on our YouTube video. We have a YouTube version of the show where we put up video every single week. So definitely like and subscribe over there and comment if you could. Or, leave a review on Apple or Spotify. Give us a shout out on social media. We're on Blue Sky and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. So definitely hit us up over there. And just, share the podcast around, post it somewhere like Reddit, or word of mouth goes a really long way when it comes to sharing cool video game related stuff with your friends. Well, we are getting into the news, and we're going to start with the Indie World presentation that Nintendo dropped right at the very end of everything. Basically, like right after we recorded our episode last week, they announced the Indie World. This was a pretty good presentation, I think, overall. There were some really interesting things to come out of this. Anybody have any highlights from the Indie World, stuff that really stood out to them as exciting?
Yes. I have been wanting to play another Yacht Club game for, at least since I played Shovel Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And, the extra content on Shovel Knight, I played all the expansions, was worth it and very fun. But I'm like, I know they got a ton of money off of that game. Like, I want to see what they're cooking up next. They have plenty of time to just sit and work on it. So the Mina the Hollower announcement and demo drop was really nice. I'll talk about that later. I ended up playing that demo today, actually. And yeah, it just looks super cool. I mean, it looks like the best Game Boy Color game you've ever seen in your entire life. It mixes so many different like elements from different games into one sweet package, and still has that kind of retro flair that Yacht Club Games is known for. So yeah, that was really sick. And I think the other game I was pretty excited for to come to this, and I was kind of curious when this would happen, is like Content Warning. Because I played Content Warning on PC and it's so much fun. But I like the amount of people I play with on PC versus like Switch is way less. So just like to have that, and with the proximity chat is going to be really, really fun. And I'm really excited to see all the Switch heads kind of like jump into that game and see what it's all about, because that game was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a game that I have I think I got it for free on Steam. Like they had some sort of like giveaway at one point. I don't think I've ever actually played it, but I hope it's crossplay because I do already own that game. But there were some other cool ones I thought. I thought Hurdling looked really good. That was a game that is by the Far Lone Sales, I believe, developers. I think that's what that game's called. But this is a game where you're kind of like shepherding these sort of mythical beasts across this mountain or whatever. It was giving me, Journey vibes. Someone in the Discord brought up Eco because you're kind of like, it's like a companion game, right? Like you're kind of bringing people around with you as you go. And then obviously UFO 50 was dropped day and date. That was one of the few shadow drops of the Indie World. I love that game so much. It was dropped in the sizzle reel right at the very end of the Indie World, which you'd think it would get a bigger part of the Indie World, given that it is one of the most critically lauded indie games of the past, 5 to 10 years. But yeah, it's an excellent game. I'm really glad to see that that's finally on Switch. What about y'all? Rory, did you have any takeaways from this Indie World?
It came out while I missed it the day that it happened, and came home drunk from a no-ring wrestling show that I went to on Friday, found out that UFO 50 had come out on Switch, thought, oh man, I've heard so much cool stuff about this game, bought it, and then spent like the rest of the night kind of buzzed and fucking up miserably at most of the stuff in there. A lot
of them are pretty challenging games, and they don't really hold your hand on like what you're supposed to do.
I appreciate. I did not get mad at it. It was just like a very disorienting experience.
Yeah.
Diving into that after getting very enthusiastic about being at a bar that had frozen margaritas.
Oh yeah, I'm glad for you. What about you, Tommy? Any of these indie games stand out to you?
Little Kitty, Big City.
Okay.
No, nothing really.
You're not a little kid. That is a pretty fun game. The DLC looked pretty fun to me.
I honestly didn't realize this was a thing that happened until the highlights from these notes for today's episode. So I went and watched all of it, and I was like, oh, Mina the Hollower, my friend just told me he was playing that demo, and he had great things to say about that. So I'm definitely going to download that and check it out. Couple cool things in it, but nothing that really grabbed me.
Yeah, I played the Mina the Hollower demo during Steam Next Fest, and I thought it was really excellent. So I'm very excited for that too. I thought Ball Pit was the final one I want to give a shout out to. Looks kind of like a blend of like out of a shoot 'em up, bullet hell sort of thing. Also with like Loop Hero city building. I don't know. Looked like a really, really interesting game. Looked like a very David game. So I think that'll be one that I'm pretty excited about.
Like Arkanoid meets an auto scroller meets like Sim City or something. I don't know. Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
I kind of love when indie devs just like mash up a bunch of random genres and somehow it works. Like that's a really fun and exciting thing for me.
And it's a roguelite, so I'll play it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll go ahead and move on then to our next bit of news. And that involves the Drag and Drive Global Jam, I believe it was called. And that basically just wrapped up today, the day we're recording this, which is Sunday, August 10th. I got to play this for about 3 hours today, and I really enjoyed this quite a bit. Basically, I'm really glad that they put this demo up because I think a lot of people realized that this game was not for them. And I think a lot of people realized that, oh shit, this game is actually incredibly fun and definitely worth $20. I'm in the latter camp. I don't know if any of you guys were able to play the Drag and Drive Global Jam. And if so, what did you think about it?
I haven't gotten to play it yet, but I've been really excited about getting to try it since they first showed it off a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I am a huge sucker in general for like anything that involves trying to find novel ways to use the basic systems of a game.
Yeah.
Like ARMS, I really liked that game just because I just really enjoyed the sensation of like trying to do the punching thing, even though like it did not work great.
Yeah.
But so I'm super excited about the idea of just playing any game with two mice.
Yeah. I was too late to play this game. I don't know. I just kind of like forgot. Yesterday was like a little bit busy, and then today ended up being busier than I thought. And so I logged in around like 4:45, and it was like the playtest is over.
Yeah,
and it wouldn't even let me play the tutorial. And I was like, oh, I missed it. Well, I'll play your copy, David. Thanks.
Yeah, this is one that I would really definitely recommend picking up your own copy of. I think
it's $20
because it is like, it's $20, and it is, it's something you can really only play online, like with people, right? So it's like having your own copy, I think is going to be really fun. Like towards the end of the day, I was like on game chat. It was like me, Chad, Marth from the Discord, A Musel, and Jay. So there were 5 of us total in there. And that was like, the more people that we got in that we knew and we're all chatting, the more fun it became. It is definitely a workout on the arms. Like I was kind of definitely moving back and forth quite a bit. Also, for the beginning, I was not using the grip here, or the what do you call it, the Joy-Con straps, which I really recommend you do use these when you're playing this one, because I was just raw dogging the side of the Joy-Con like on my desk, and I think I got a little bit of desk gunk inside some of the buttons on the Joy-Con. So definitely stick this bad buffer on. I saw another post online. Somebody was playing on a brand new pair of jeans and like rubbing it on his jeans, and like the sides of the Joy-Cons were all like blue because the dye hadn't like left the jeans yet because they hadn't been washed yet. And so I was like, buyer beware with Drag and Drive. But for me, I thought it was incredibly fun. I'm definitely going to be picking this up. And I think it's also potentially being done by one of Nintendo's Western development studios. They did post a video recently of a lot of the developers like playing the game and showing off some of the like cool techniques and whatever that you can do. And all the developers had like American or like Western sounding names. So that's got me thinking that it might be Nintendo Software Technology that's developing this, which would be like right up their alley, I think. So I'm really excited for this game when it comes out next week, and we'll be talking a lot more about that.
4 days.
Yeah, 4 days. Can you believe it? Time really flies when you're having fun. But we're going to go ahead and move on to our next bit of news. And this is about a strange patent that was spotted. Now, oftentimes we obviously see patents from Nintendo, and very rarely do they actually ever come to fruition. This one, though, was pretty interesting. Jordan, you want to break this one down a little bit and maybe explain a little bit what we're seeing here?
Yeah, so the patent is for 2 items. One is a crank that attaches to the inside of the Joy-Con. So you remove the Joy-Con and it goes in the center. Kind of reminds me of like a play date, to be honest.
Totally.
And then the other thing they had, this one's a little bit more strange to me, and I don't honestly understand it, but it is a clickable wheel. It's like the wheel's rotation is tracked by the mouse sensor. And it also, the click is transmitted through like one of the SL button, I believe. So it's kind of strange. This one, I have a harder time picturing like what it could be used for, but really what this honestly kind of brings to mind for me is like, the Labo replacement for the Switch 2. Like, I don't, like it
Sure.
reminded me of like the crank from the fishing rod from Labo. And I'm like, maybe this is what they do this time around, but I'm kind of curious to see if they're going to start releasing some weird controllers, or if, they're trying to just bring in Playdate games. I would be very curious to see if some of those devs port their games over to the Switch too, because it is like a pretty big indie machine. We just had this indie showcase. I could see them wanting to bring over just like a suite of games that would be really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think that if the Playdate taught us anything, it's that if you add a crank to stuff, you can use it in like a million different ways, right? So I think like just them even if this never becomes a thing, which it very well could never be a thing, I think just them experimenting with new ways to use Joy-Cons and different add-ons, I love to see that. I don't think that obviously every game should do something like that, but I think having some games where they bring back a little bit of that weirdo Nintendo charm, I think is pretty fucking dope. You guys have any thoughts on how this crank could be implemented?
Yeah, the first the only thing that I thought of looking at it was just Playdate games and wondering like if this is, but that seems like way too specific to like assume that they're going to go after like just taking the Playdate.
Yeah, they have Playdate Nintendo Switch Online.
30 people who have Playdates have played. I'd love to be able to play that one game where you rewind that little dude on a way bigger screen and get madder at it than I've ever gotten before.
Yeah.
But the only other option that like really comes to mind is that maybe Nintendo's decided to like really, really dial in on trying to court the fishing video game market and have like a whole peripheral that is specifically for getting as many fish games on the console as possible, which my friend Jared would love. And I don't know, like, beyond that, how much appeal that would have.
What about you, Tommy? You got any ideas for games you could use with the crank?
He took it already. Fishing is, I imagine, what it would be for. If it's something that they make, as a package deal in a Nintendo first-party game, they could do it in a lot of other stuff. Zelda has a lot of fishing in it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of games that use it in Nintendo, so I don't know. It could be fun. I'm not a huge fishing game fan, but it was fun in Zelda, so I'd give it a shot.
Yeah.
There's a whole package that goes around playing fishing games. You are getting to live the life of like a lake time guy. You are going to buy that little crank, and your hair is going to grow out.
Yeah.
Go along,
you immediately get a beard, regardless of gender.
You're gonna get a Salt Life
bumper sticker just immediately put on your car without you asking for it.
Women love me, fish fear me. You get a hat that says that immediately. Yeah. No, we definitely, if you're interested in the topic of fishing in video games, we did a whole episode on that back in the early days of the podcast. Definitely a good one to listen to. I think there's lots you could do outside of fishing as well. Immediately, what came to mind is kururin. Right, like the games where you're like spinning your little guy around, like stuff like that would just like feel so natural with a crank. It just adds a lot of gameplay possibilities. So whatever.
WarioWare. Sorry, that's it.
Yeah, WarioWare crank it. That's what they should call it. WarioWare cranking the hog. Anyway, we're gonna move on to our next bit of news. We're gonna move away from Nintendo for just a little bit and talk about some gaming adjacent stuff. But it seems like Red Octane is coming back after a very long time. A lot of the original developers from Red Octane, you guys might know as the producers of the Guitar Hero games, is coming back. They did a podcast recently and talked about it. I think they're partnering with Cracked, which is a peripheral manufacturer. They do a lot of like they've been making a lot of like guitars recently, like guitar controllers. And so I think, Red Octane coming back, it may signify that there might be more Guitar Hero or something similar on the horizon. I think that Microsoft, who bought Activision, now owns the Guitar Hero brand. I would not be surprised to see it come back, especially with all this kind of happening recently. I know Harmonix has been working with Fortnite doing stuff there. So you guys have any thoughts on Red Octane coming back? Is this exciting to you?
I'm pretty stoked. I mean, it would be cool to see a Guitar Hero revival. It's been enough time that I've gone through the wave of, I really liked Guitar Hero in high school and maybe early college. And then I thought it was really lame through like my mid to late 20s. And now in my mid 30s, I'm like, you know what? No, I play Guitar Hero again, so I've kind of come full circle, and I'm thinking that they see the rest of the world kind of coming full circle as well.
Yeah, we've talked about it before, but it's like Guitar Hero for like Gen Z kids that are now like in their like have expendable income to buy video games that are from nostalgic from their childhoods, like 2008, 2009, like the time of Guitar Hero, like that was like what they grew up with, right? So I could see that having a big comeback now as they are becoming, a bigger demographic for buying video games. What about you, Tommy? Are you a Guitar Hero fan?
Same as Jordan. Same idea. Really, I was really into it when it first came out. It was a huge part of early college experience. Everyone was obsessed with it. It was a huge party game. People were always playing it in some back room while everyone else was like actually engaging in conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd be stoked to see it come back. I wouldn't be surprised if they do a package of all the stuff together. The only thing I'm interested about is the rights to this music and how they're going to go about doing it. If they can partner with like something like Spotify or something like that and be able to do whatever music you want, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, we'll see. I know Red Octane, obviously, they were bought by Activision and then closed down, and I think that the brand is still owned now by Microsoft, but I do know that Red Octane is being brought back as a part of Embracer Group. Right. So, whether or not they're going to be mainly working with peripherals or publishing, or if there's going to be partnerships or any kind of new thing that's like a spiritual successor to Guitar Hero, time will only tell. But, anytime I see somebody partnering up with Embracer Group, my butthole clenches a little bit. We'll have to see what happens with that. But we'll go ahead and move on to our next bit of news. And this one's a sad one, but it seems that speaking of Microsoft, Microsoft has canceled the game Contraband. This game has been in development for about 4 years. This was Avalanche Studio, if I'm not mistaken. It's the developers of the Just Cause games, or Just Cause. I don't know exactly how you pronounce that, but this is one that I was looking forward to, like all the other Microsoft games that were canceled. Perfect Dark was canceled recently, and a couple other games. The Rare developed RPG was also canceled. So this is really a shame to see. This didn't get reported with all the other ones, but it seems like this kind of quietly happened after a lot of those other layoffs had happened in the past. Jordan, do you have any thoughts on Contraband or just kind of what's happening over at Microsoft right now?
I thought we were done. We were done with all the layoffs. I think they're just continually assessing what is and isn't working. I still think this is like a management issue with Microsoft. This game was supposed to be like a co-op game, which maybe they just decided I don't know. I could just picture, a Just Cause style co-op game where you're just running around causing mayhem, being insanely fun and really hard to do on previous hardware, but with, the power of modern consoles, like super achievable. So I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know what's going on over there as far as like Xbox management goes, but it just seems like they don't know exactly what they want or how to get it done quickly or to just give studios the time to just cook.
Yeah, I think it's a little ridiculous because, obviously I think that, Microsoft, and we'll talk about here as well, Sony are moving much more into cross-platform software development, brand, creation, IP and stuff like that. But then also Microsoft is like canceling all the games. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're not making consoles and you're not making games, what is it exactly that you do here? So that's kind of my question. I don't really understand why so many of these are getting canceled. Do you have any thoughts on this, Rory?
Game Pass subscriptions.
Just Game Pass.
All Game Pass subscriptions. Don't consider that there is an inevitable plateau for how much revenue you can actually generate if you're just selling Game Pass subscriptions that are a flat fee, and that might not actually be sustainable for like being able to fund multiple concurrent game development projects.
Yeah.
Well, you shift as much financial resources as possible into trying to develop AI.
Yeah. 100%.
That is as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
Main thrust of what's going on, and it sucks, man.
Contraband died so Copilot could install itself on every Windows 11 machine without
Copilot could
asking for permission.
1 or 2 interns redundant.
Anyway, we'll go ahead and move on to our next bit of news, which is about Sony. speaking of, and Sony's senior VP, whose name is Satahiko Hayakawa, nailed that, I'm sure, has said that they are shifting their gaming division from a hardware focus to a community and engagement model. Now, this is a lot of corporate talk here, and I think that, you know, right off the bat, everybody was like, wow, this means that like Sony's getting out of the hardware game. I don't think that that's what they're saying here, but it does seem like that they are more likely to have more cross-platform releases like Microsoft is at this point, and that Sony as a whole, which has historically been a very hardware-focused company, right? Like all the way back to the 80s with the Walkman and you know, TVs and all this different kind of hardware. I think in general, they're going more for entertainment, asset development, as a soulless corporate person would say, a way to refer to art. But, you know, I think the idea is like, you know, they've transcended kind of more hardware focused, you know, with their movies, their movie division and games and everything like that. And I think this is kind of a soft way for them to say that they're going to be also making a lot of their games multi-plat. It seems like Nintendo is kind of one of the last real holdouts of the true platform exclusive, right? So you guys have any thoughts on this, Tommy? What do you think about hearing that Sony is, you know, potentially moving its main focus away from hardware?
I find that so hard to believe. I don't know. Like, that's all they got, right? Like, if they stop making PlayStations, what did they do? I don't really know. Them and Nintendo have been duking it out for so long now that I don't really want to see them do that. Like, I never even owned a PlayStation until the PlayStation 5 came out. And now I'm like, I don't know how I lived this long without having one. And now to think that there wouldn't be a 6 or a 7 is just kind of crazy.
Alternately, I bought a PS5 off my friend, and since I bought it, I have not turned it on once. So I guess different strokes for different folks.
I got a PS5 on launch day and have played at least one game on it almost every month since it came out.
Okay.
On my girlfriend's birthday in 2020, where she also rightfully got mad at me because she had to help me go to the FedEx office to pick it up because I missed when they rang our doorbell.
I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, it'd be like that sometimes.
But about that also, though, it also brings to mind to me, I can't remember his name, one of the Sony executives who said that he thinks that we are getting towards the end of console generations as we understand it. Where I don't think that it's inherently bad necessarily to say that you're moving away from producing new hardware to the degree that, like, sometimes people feel or tell me that this seems kind of pessimistic or whatever. I think it's kind of just like a weird want to have a perpetual new thing, but like I would believe that we are getting near the ultimate conclusion of like when having console generations is really a necessity.
Right.
And once you hit that point, because there is definitely an upper ceiling for like how much better can graphics get, how much more expensive that's going to make games, how much more intensive it's going to make games, and is that like really a worthwhile trade-off? If like, sure, Kratos, you can like fucking see all of the plaque on his teeth now in perfect,
give me the plaque cut
16K resolution, but like, is it a fun game necessarily?
Sure. Yeah. No, I think you're actually on the money there more than the idea that they're just going to be making games for every platform. Is rather like platforms are kind of irrelevant at this point. I don't think that Sony really cares if you play it on a PS4 or a PS5 or a PS5 Pro or on a fridge or whatever, as long as you're playing their game, right? And so I think we're already seeing that with Nintendo. I mean, the Switch 2, you know, it just feels like a Switch Pro, right? And I think that like you could put out a Switch 3 and it would just feel like a Switch 2 on steroids or whatever, right?
So, the Switch is like Switch 2 is the only console I can really think of the big three where like, even though like I love it and I don't want like an update at this point, but it's the only one where I can even like really imagine there being a tangible argument for an update in like 5 years.
Sure.
When like miniaturized storage is even better and maybe like a graphics processor for something that small is better. That'll happen eventually, but like that is still just going to be like bringing Nintendo to that same finish line point.
Mm-hmm. And I can't help but think, and Jordan, please jump in as well if you have something here, but I can't help but think that it's funny, given like how like small a sliver of the market that like PC handhelds take up right now. So your ROG Allies, your Steam Decks and stuff like that. I feel like they have like intrinsically changed the entire landscape of consoles right now. I think the fact that, you can play Microsoft games first party, Sony games first party, you can emulate Switch games like on a Steam Deck. Like, I think that really was a disruptive thing, even though, it's not like the most widespread and people probably don't need to worry about that so much at like these big three companies, but it does seem like they're all responding to it in a way right now. I don't know if you're getting that vibe as well, Jordan, but I was definitely getting that vibe.
The vibe I'm getting is like 8K TVs failed and they're like, what, also they're insanely expensive. I think the cheapest like 8K TV, I just Googled it right now, is like $3,500 plus, the console that's going to be able to run 8K is probably going to be upwards of $700 to $1,000. So I think they're also seeing a market ceiling where they're like, people cannot afford this, it's like they're already going to have to raise all the console prices for everything right now. And, but I mean, they still sold like 80 or shipped at least 80 million PS5s 5 years into the
That's why this is also a funny thing to say, because they are doing great as far as hardware sales are concerned, right? Even the Portal did really well for them, so I think that it's, I mean, it's, it's not, 80 million, but it's enough to where they were like, oh shit, all right, we got to make more Portals.
Seriously baffled that anyone wants the console that like only exists so you can take The Last of Us to the bathroom with you for a minute.
Well, I mean, it's just, again, I just think that it's like the Switch and handheld PCs really disrupted the entire console space, and everybody's kind of trying to keep up right now. And I know as we increasingly have ADHD and need to multitask at all times, having an on-screen thing while you're also playing on the couch has become the go-to gaming experience for a lot of, millennials and Gen Z gamers, I think. So, we'll follow this as it goes, but I do think it'll be interesting to see where gaming is at in like 10, 20 years. I think it's going to be pretty indistinguishable from where it's at right now. A lot of stuff that we take for granted, it's going to go by the wayside, I think.
I can't think of any reason why a video game would need to look better than Alan Wake 2.
Not a bad point. Not a bad point.
That is a perfect place for it to just stop.
Yeah, that's been on my list for a while. That's definitely a game you play on a PS5 if you can. So anyway, we're going to move on to our last bit of news here before we move on to the main topic, and that is that Nintendo officially is heading back to Gamescom. That's happening August 20th through 24th. We knew that they were going to be going back, but we did not know exactly what they were going to be having available to play at the event. And it turns out we now have a list of all the games that Nintendo will have playable on the floor. And there are some exciting ones, one of which includes Silksong. Apparently it's real. Hollow Knight Silksong will be playable at the Nintendo booth at Gamescom. In addition to that, they will also have playable demos of Metroid Prime 4, Pokemon ZA, Hades 2, Elden Ring, Borderlands 4, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, or Remake, I guess. I don't think Rebirth is announced yet for Switch. Donkey Kong Bananza, Mario Kart World, Jamboree, Mario Party Jamboree, EAFC 26, Cyberpunk, and some GameCube games. But I think the big takeaway here is that, Silksong will be playable at the Nintendo booth at Gamescom. Jordan, what do you think about this? Do you believe this? Is it real?
Oh, yeah. I'm just like kind of confused because Xbox had already previously announced that it was going to be at their booth. So it's going to be at both booths. And for me, Silksong being playable there, I heard it was going to be played on their ROG Ally version or whatever that's coming out. So
I mean, the Germans, man, they're freaks. It's like a little key party out there at Gamescom right now.
I believe it's real. There's no way that this game, I feel like it had to have restarted development at some point. I don't really know, but I'm just glad to see Pulse on this game at all for anything. I was not surprised that it was not at the Indie World, but I was, obviously disappointed, but I'm used to it at this point. So I was okay with it. And then, man, I'm really curious to see what the impressions are and what the game is going to look like with the size of the demo. I'm just really curious to hear the impressions come out from that. So I'm just going to be waiting eagerly to read about that.
This will be the first time we've seen playable versions of Elden Ring, Borderlands, Hades 2, running on Switch 2. Final Fantasy 7 as well. This will be the first time that people actually have hands-on with that. So I'm definitely excited to hear some impressions on how these games actually play, how they look on the console. I imagine Final Fantasy 7 will look pretty good. That game seems to scale pretty well, but time will certainly tell. But we're going to go ahead and move on then to our main topic here. And I do want to say, if you've been listening so far, this is your last chance to tune out before we get into the spoiler discussion of Donkey Kong Bonanza. Definitely, I think there were some things that I found were good not to have spoiled. So if you have not completed Donkey Kong Bonanza, or you just don't care about spoilers, just know that we will be moving into the main topic right now after this break. And we are back to talk all about spoilers for Donkey Kong Bonanza. All four of your hosts this week have beaten the game, or at least rolled credits. I think we're all at various levels of completion in the game right now. I am very excited to talk Endgame stuff here. So I think we're going to be talking about our overall thoughts now that we've actually completed the game, on like what we think is the game as a whole. That includes the 2 Bonanza transformations we did not talk about in our last time that we discussed this game on the podcast. The ending, the whole like climax of the game story-wise, and then some of the stuff in the post game. We'll be talking all about that this week. And I think we should just say it. 3, 2, 1. Motherfucking King K. Rool is back, baby. Oh my God.
The rumors were true.
As a longtime Donkey Kong Country fan, my jaw was on the floor for the entirety of the ending of this game. Can I get just overall y'all's like opinions on the kind of finale and wrap up of this game? Because it goes on for a while, and when you think it's done, there's like 2 hours more of game for you to go through.
The fake out ending is amazing.
Yeah,
Donkey Kong is so good.
Absolutely. Rory, what about you? What were your thoughts on just kind of the epic conclusion of Donkey Kong Bonanza?
At the same time, simultaneously, I liked the fake out ending, but also was annoyed that that the second final boss fight was just the first final boss fight again.
Yes,
and it's
absolutely.
like the exact same attack path. I would have liked it a little bit if like it was just not a harder version of an already like substantially more difficult than every other boss game in the game.
Yeah,
fight 10 minutes after you just did it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, it's not a bad boss fight, and like the space between that, both like the section where you're zooming up from the center of the earth or the center of the planet, and running through New Donk City, I'm assuming that's New Donk City, to do that part. Those are both really cool sequences.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been comparing the end of this game to the Jump Up Superstar like performance from Mario Odyssey, right? And I think that really this is it, like turned up to 11. And I think that like, just because like K. Rool has been absent for so long from the Donkey Kong series. I mean, obviously K. Rool came back with Smash Brothers, and that was kind of like a huge deal because we thought that it like belonged to Rare or something, or like Nintendo didn't, like wanted to move away from it because the retro Donkey Kong Country games did not have them included. It was just such a wonderful return to form, and it was so great to see them back. Jordan, what was your thoughts on kind of the conclusion of this game?
The plan is finally coming into focus. All this working with Microsoft was just to come to this moment. I feel like that's what it really feels like. I was like, oh, okay, now I understand why they've been playing nice with Microsoft for the past like decade or however long it's been since the Switch came out. Like it was a really nice moment. I do kind of agree with the second boss fight, and like then the second boss fight being like harder, even though the first King K. Rool boss fight was already like pretty hard, and this was like way harder. And I tried to do it like right after the whole sequence, which I was already like, I'm not gonna lie, at the time I was kind of annoyed that the game just kept going. I was like, really? I thought this game ended like it's like Lord of the Rings endings.
I love fake out endings just in general. Like Beau is Afraid, I think, is one of my favorite movies ever because of the fact that you like think it should have ended like 10 times before it does.
Yeah, that's crazy. That Beau is Afraid is one of your favorite movies ever. That's insane.
but in addition to seeing King K. Rool, that was really nice. Like that. And then when he just busts out, I was like, because by the time I got down there, I was like, he's not in this game. It's just not going to happen. That's okay. And then it just happens and you're like, oh shit. Okay, well, here we are. But I really like that they brought back his crew, all the Kremlings. So all the enemies that you've been fighting along the whole way all turn into the King K. Rool Kremling army version of
They were teasing it. They were teasing it the whole time.
Yeah, well, definitely like the golden alligator bones, like under all of the like crocoids, you know what I mean? Like they definitely like, and by alligator I have seen crocodiles, but it's like, yeah, they definitely were teasing that. But I thought for me, it was hearing the sound effects, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like the neckies and the Kremlings, like whenever they would get hit, it was like straight up like the Super Nintendo sound effects. And that was like so nostalgic for me. I loved it.
Yeah. The moniker that King K. Rool gets in this game, the King of Rot, is like one of the best things I've ever seen in a Nintendo game.
Yeah.
Like, I actually was like cheering when he got that. It was very like Ganon reveal from like Legend of Zelda, like
very much
like a Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild vibe. It was like he was like in his full greatness finally. I love King K. Rool, so I was over the moon when I saw the belly when you finally get to like the Forbidden Lair and you see the belly and you're like, that's King K. Rool, 100%, no doubt.
Yeah, I could tell that Audi belly button anywhere. It also had a great throwback to the original Donkey Kong Country, where when you kind of beat K. Rool, quote unquote, for the first time, and then the credits roll. And it's all, you know, the names of all the different Kremlings or whatever instead. And then it's the end with a question mark. And like them doing that again was such a great throwback. You could tell like, it's not just like, oh, you know, we know people like this character. We brought it back. It was very clear that the developers were like massive fans of the original games. And it was just so lovely to see. I just was beside myself.
To that same end, I'm sure you guys have already talked about this, but just I loved that all those little, I forget things names, but those little rock guys had like eyes that just looked like old Rareware games.
Yeah. The Fractones, I guess.
Yeah, that by itself, I think that really like just did something for me. I think more than anything else, just like having that detail, I felt like so much of like just a strong wink to old classic Rare games that was just really satisfying to me. Side question about the core planet's core level. Did anyone else feel like really bad when you see like that giant King K. Rool statue made of gold and presumably like just tried to suck it up with the elephant thing, and then you realize you're like staring up at his groin and you're kind of just sucking his groin away?
No, that didn't make me feel bad. I felt totally fine doing that.
I got really in the center and just started punching it out. I didn't do the elephant. I was just like, I want to destroy you from the
yeah, like a cancer inside of K. Rool's body, just punching your way through. Absolutely.
Oh, I tore a hole in his crotch and climbed inside of it like some sort of reverse birth.
Man, what would Freud have to say about this? That's my question. No, yeah, I totally loved that whole section. I also loved, just like side note, the Banandium route. It was like a biblically accurate Banandium route. You know, it had those kind of like swirling bananas like in the center, and it was like the thing that grants you the wish or whatever. Like, I just thought that was like kind of a cool visual as well. But yeah, there was just so much cool stuff going on. And yeah, like we were talking about, whenever you finally make it back up and, you know, you see that you are in the surface and you're at New Donk City, you know, that was another kind of mind-blowing moment as well, right? Because, you know, obviously we knew this was the Mario Odyssey team and we know that these games are connected, but just like, I feel like in the Miyamoto like era of Nintendo, it's like story has always been kind of like pushed to the side. And not like this game has like a crazy story or anything, but it's like just having games connect over games is very un-Mario. It's very you know, I would say it's not really un-Donkey Kong, but it's not what you normally see from Nintendo first party platformer games, right? So I just think that was like a really nice little bit of connective tissue that really was very satisfying to me.
Yeah, I had a lot of questions though, because like as a lore head, I was just like, damn it, this is just so confusing now. So like, does New Donk City exist on the same planet as Donkey Kong Country? Like, because it's implied that you kind of just go to the other side of the planet near the beginning of the game. So I'm like, okay, so then all of Super Mario Odyssey takes place technically in the Donkey Kong universe, or is that like a complete misread? Because it doesn't take
I think
place
they
in Mushroom
all take
Kingdom.
place on our Earth. Actually, I think this is, but 5,000 years in the future, maybe. Let's say after several restarts.
I've seen a gorilla carrying a small child around. And they were just punching rocks.
Yeah, I saw that the other day at the zoo.
Also, why is it called New Donk City? Like,
that's happenstance.
That's the first time he's there.
No,
you don't know that.
It's just Donk City.
He's named after the city, not the other way around.
Yeah, it's New Donk City because there was already a Donk City, and this was the newer.
Yeah,
it was
like
in England.
Indiana Jones or Boston Steve.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I like to my headcanon, and of course the true answer is none of this matters, right?
Yeah.
But and that we're lucky to have anything connect, even if it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? That's the true answer, right? Is that no one's thought too hard about this. But I think that you could say maybe it was called New Donk City already, and then a guy named Donkey Kong showed up and like saved the day, and they're like, "Holy shit, that's incredible! We're gonna name all the streets after all of your friends." And that was, and this is a prequel. I don't know. It's hard to say. There are different. I think there's different interpretations. You could say that this is a prequel and that Pauline eventually turns into the Pauline. I think stuff in the post game also encourages that thought line of thinking. You could also say that Pauline. There are multiple Paulines. Like there's Lady from the original Donkey Kong who was like around there with Cranky, like from the original Donkey Kong game, and then there was like maybe a Pauline. Maybe like the Pauline that's the mayor is like in the middle, and this is like the daughter of that Pauline. You could look at it in a number of ways, but I don't know. It ultimately does not matter.
Pauline abandoned her own daughter because Pauline is clearly an orphan.
I don't know that she's an orphan.
She saw her daughter, which was a virgin birth with no father. That this kid looked exactly like her, and was horrified by it, and threw her into a monkey pit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that'll be in the like Hyrule Historia book.
And by crawling out, now she becomes mayor, because that is how elections work in New Donk City, which is not really a democracy as we understand it.
Yeah.
There are just various cultural differences that you have to accept as, part of their society.
Yeah. I think that's fair to say. Well, that is pretty excellent that we have now gone definitively through the ending of this game. There's lots more that we could talk about here, but there's also a lot more that we want to cover in this episode as well. I think maybe, Jordan, is there anything that you want to move on to in particular, like from our list here?
I just like seeing all the familiar faces along the way. So like kind of building off your point earlier where like you could tell the developers had a real love for the franchise, and it comes back in a couple different ways. Like we see a couple familiar faces. There's like that layer where we see the Diddy and Dixie running like a race course, which was fun, which is also like slightly a callback to Diddy Kong Racing at the same time.
Yeah, or the canceled Donkey Kong Racing that never actually came out.
Yeah. And then, you see Cranky and Ramby, and you have to listen to Cranky just ramble to get a banana, which is awesome. And I read every single rant, and they're all pretty much the same.
They're all the same.
Yeah,
but I like that because he's an old man.
Roll.
Yeah, but
he uses King K. Rool a little more every time.
Yeah, he does. You're not wrong on that. But it is like all his dialogue was. That was one of my things I didn't love about this game, was actually all the way they implemented Cranky, because like in like the original games, like he's such a curmudgeonly son of a bitch, you know what I mean? And he's like so funny in the old games, and it's got that like kind of British wit to it, And so like I think that was a bit of a missed opportunity, especially given that like Pauline has like 70 unique things that she talks to DK about when she's like going to bed. You know what I mean? Like I was like, man, I was a little surprised that they didn't give Cranky more like unique dialogue, but.
He just read as like a conspiracy theory nut that just like would not shut up about the exact same point you've heard him talk about for 10 years.
That is an accurate kind of well-realized character.
I guess you guys are right. Yeah. He's the Bernie Sanders of the Donkey Kong universe. The New Donk City elite, the 1%. Anyway, I love that. I do think that maybe we're jumping a little bit ahead here, but I think that bringing K. Rool back and having these characters, who else? Swanky Kong was mentioned at one point. Candy Kong was mentioned in this game. When you talk to Dixie and Diddy, they talk about how they've been on lots of adventures with DK before. So all the Donkey Kong Country games happened before this, right? So it's like, this to me, and I'm not trying to be selfish here because we just got an amazing game in the Donkey Kong franchise, which we haven't gotten in a very long time, but it's like, it feels like they're setting up more games, And I think that we know the movie is going to be coming out, a Donkey Kong specific movie, which God help me, I hope K. Rool and the Kremlings are a part of that movie. And it's not just a one-off thing, but it really feels like, right now, the only Kongs that really exist in modern Nintendo era are or have been DK, Diddy, Dixie, Cranky, and I guess Funky, was playable in Tropical Freeze. But I would love to see a sequel to this game that really leans even more into a lot of the other Kongs that have come around. And I think that was one thing that was a little disappointing to me and Baby was how little Diddy and Dixie are actually in this game at all. They're kind of in this one layer, but how cool would it be, if they were playable in a future game, right? You kind of spiced up the gameplay mechanics. You guys have any thoughts on kind of if we think we'll see another Donkey Kong game going forward with some of these characters?
I don't see why not. I think something more akin to Donkey Kong 64, which is what the last 3D Donkey Kong we got, which was a great game. Was that the last time we saw K. Rool?
Donkey Kong 64. He showed up in the King of Swing, I think, and a couple the GBA games, and he was in Mario Super Sluggers, a baseball game. Okay. But yes, the last mainline Donkey Kong, was Donkey Kong 64.
And that's when he got his butt kicked in the ring, so they kind of brought that back.
That's true, yeah. But, they brought back the boxing ring. Yeah.
Dude, I'd love to see Lanky Kong again. I'd love to see all the Kongs back and make them all have unique things. I would not be surprised if we see all that. The thing I think is most interesting that could be happening is Retro making another country game, and it's just been sitting because this was supposed to be a Switch 1 game, and because this took so long to come out on Switch 2, they've just been sitting on another Donkey Kong game. And because they brought back King K. Rool for the first time ever and forever, if he's in whatever other game they were working on, they couldn't probably release it until we had this great reveal. So I'm really looking forward to whatever they're doing next with Donkey Kong.
Yeah. The developer, I think one of the developer interviews, they did talk about how there's now a 3D Donkey Kong and a 2D Donkey Kong pillar, we see with Mario.
Yeah.
I don't think that necessarily means that we'll be getting games soon in either. I think some of it probably depends on sales of this game. I think it's why Nintendo has been trying to push this game. It's one of the only real must-own games for the Switch 2 right now. So I'd be interested to see how this game is actually selling to kind of answer that question a little bit. But you have something else there, Jordan, you were going to say?
I do feel like we got that registration for the Donkey Kong movie or Untitled Donkey Kong Project motion picture. Mm-hmm. And I could see them doing something like what they did with the Mario movie, where later in the year they released Wonder. So they're working on or holding a 2D Donkey Kong game to release as a tie-in with the movie in that same time frame. That's what I could see. Because I think the one thing that was notably absent from this game was you got maybe a handful of 2D retro levels. Mm-hmm. And I was expecting every layer to have one 2D level that was a throwback level, because I feel like they do that a lot in Odyssey, where you go 2D and you play in that plane as well. And so I was just kind of surprised that we didn't get at least one level every layer within that way. So to me, I'm okay, maybe they're just holding that kind of stuff for a 2D game down the line.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on to a couple other things that I'd love to talk about here. Just kind of within the main game story, spoiler stuff. Transformations that we didn't talk about last time. Obviously, the ostrich transformation, the zebra, and the Kong Bananza transformations. Those were all already revealed before the game came out. What we didn't know beforehand was the elephant transformation and the snake transformation. I love that these are all kind of based on animal buddies from the original games. And I love that we got snake and elephant, because I feel like those are two of the lesser appreciated ones. Obviously, the snake from Donkey Kong Country 2 and the elephant from Donkey Kong Country 3. It's just nice to see Donkey Kong Country 3 mentioned at all, right? I think there were a couple references with some of the fossils. You had the chaos robot or whatever was one of the fossils that you could find. But what did you guys think about the elephant and snake transformations?
I love the elephant.
Yeah. The elephant one is the one that I have used the most, and the snake one is the one that I've used the least.
Right.
Like, that is not quite a criticism, because like it's fine, and like it does have mechanics that like where it does become useful, but like more than any of the others, the snake transformation feels like the one that the game occasionally has to like remind me explicitly is an option at all.
Yeah.
And then the snake rehearsal is kind of punishing you for having not really spent much time doing anything with the snake.
I just did the snake rehearsal today, and it was tough.
It's
but
brutal.
It was fun though.
The snake, by the way, this dates me a ton, but it kind of looked like Trogdor, right? Like it was a snake with an arm.
A little bit, yeah.
I had not made that connection, because anytime my girlfriend's been home while I've been playing it, she just like asks me if this one has a muscular ass like the other one.
I think it's the only one without an ass, actually. Yeah, sadly. I do love whenever you like get a banana with when you're in snake form. Pauline does this little like face, which is like really cute. I think Pauline overall, I ended up loving Pauline throughout this game. It was such a great idea to have a companion character like that with the game. But yeah, I love the snake. I love that you can like double charge jump to super high and then switch to ostrich midair. You know what I mean? That's a great way to do a bunch of skips and to move really quickly. I've been doing a lot of banana hunting now that I'm in the end game, and just like finding everything, which can be a bit of a grind, and we should definitely talk about that. I'm having to use the map a lot more than I probably want to find a lot of these. But I think snake is not super fun to just like run around with necessarily, but it is very useful when you need it, right?
Yeah, it's really cool, especially when you successfully pull off a transition where like you jump a snake and then turn into something else immediately after. That feels cool, but also like he's so much slower than everybody else, and jumping really high is all you can do, so you just kind of like forget about snake a lot of the time.
He slows time, which is like the thing I forgot about.
I constantly forget about
rehearsal.
That. Yeah. It is very helpful though. That's one of those things where it's like I go back and I'm like, man, I should have been using that all the time. But I kind of just forgot it was a thing. I definitely like those. Elephant is fun. It's definitely, there's a lot of very satisfying gameplay of like Power Wash Simulator, Luigi's Mansion, stuff like that. The kind of just kind of slowly. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube of people just clearing all the terrain and all the levels.
That was me. I had a big problem with this game. With like, I was 100%ing every level as I went.
Yeah.
And then when I got to the elephant, I was like, I just wish I had done this first.
Yeah.
Right when I first booted up the game for the first time, like it took me a solid 10-20 minutes to actually get to the first banana that you're supposed to break, because I just got so into like just trying to sweep away everything.
The flow state.
It literally took me like an hour and a half. I punched everything. It punched everything.
It never stops feeling great to do that. Then
you got some perverts.
You get the elephant, like suddenly like you are off to the races. You can fucking destroy everything now.
Yeah. Well, and the elephant plus having a second player do mouse controls with Pauline's shouts, that's how you get all of everything. You know what I mean? That's how you really clear out all the chaff, all the little stuff in the corners of every little thing that you haven't been able to suck through your giant nose. It's a crazy game, dude. I can't believe the things that we're saying right now. Let's maybe a little bit about the skill tree. I mean, when you beat the game and you beat the rehearsals that, we should probably really talk about in the post game here, you get extra skill tree stuff. Like, what were you guys' thoughts on the skill tree overall? Now I'm at the point where I'm actually, filling out a bunch of the stuff that I held off on, like a lot of the heart stuff that I kept to the wayside to make the game a little bit more challenging. Any thoughts on the skill trees in totality?
Yeah, I kind of just focused on all the transformations first. Well, terrain punching first,
right?
Maybe sonar second, and then like all the most powerful upgrades, for that. I do think it's interesting that it's like to actually fully complete the skill tree takes like quite a lot of bananas. Like I think right now I'm at like 611 bananas or something like that, and I still have not unlocked everything on the skill tree. So it does make you kind of like process and think, but there are things that are just like totally, to me, useless. Like having extra cans of whatever,
the Banandium stuff. Yeah.
It's like, I don't know,
Banergy cans.
There's always enough gold around that you can like fill up your meter without needing that thing.
Yeah, it's honestly probably takes longer to find a banana can or go buy one than it does to just gather the gold again. So
just start punching, just start swinging until it's time to go.
Yeah, I think they're primarily for bosses. Like that's it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, definitely the game is not super hard, but it definitely does get a little bit hard towards the end. And maybe we should just move into the post game. So whenever you beat the game, it goes 3 months later, and then DK and Pauline, who have this kind of like, oh man, it's not even like really sad like ending. I think DK is just like, all right, bye. I'm going to
I wanted to say I loved that about the ending of the game. Like Pauline has had this very emotional trip with her friend DK. And then you get to the end of it, and she kind of learns like, oh, he really does not actually care that much. He just wants bananas. And that is the end of the main story.
Yeah.
And that just felt so true to that character.
It's really refreshing to just play as like a big dumb idiot in a game.
Big dumb idiot who like doesn't not have feelings, but he's very focused on the one thing that he wants, and it is not you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, he's like happy for you. Like there is like definitely a bit like towards the whenever the giant eel shows up after you're locked in jail, that whole sequence of the game where you're locked in prison, and then the giant eel comes. Yeah. But the giant eel comes and like eats Pauline, and you do see on DK's face, he's like, what the fuck? He's like, you can see he's like emotionally really distressed. You know what I mean? And so like little moments like that are where you realize it's like, no, okay, she's not just a tool for him. Like they definitely do have like some actual companionship, right? So I enjoyed that. But yeah, so basically the story, whenever you're done there, is Pauline is trying to, she's worked up her confidence and she can now sing in front of people, and she's trying to come up with like a new song to sing in New Donk City. And I think you go through these different kind of banana, or what are they called? The Bonanza rehearsals. And these are kind of, the post game, like hard levels that you would see in like, later game, like Odyssey, something like that. What are our thoughts on the Bonanza rehearsal levels? And do we like this kind of structure for post game stuff with Nintendo?
I like a challenge level. I'm a fan. Yeah. I will say I did try to start the first one last night, like very tired. And I was like,
the Kong Bananza one.
Yeah, I was like, I'm way too tired to do this. So I went back today and did it. Heads up, if you exit in the middle of one, like say you do 2 of the 5, and you close your game, you will lose your progress. So that's just a heads up, because I did that because I closed it. And I was like, I'm gonna go try UFO 50, and then I was too tired to play that too. So then I just went to bed.
Well, it's they do at least give you the nicety of like, if you die, they like checkpoint you as you're going, which is nice whenever you get bananas. But I enjoy that. Tommy, what do you think about the Bonanza rehearsal sections of this game?
I liked them a lot. It was kind of nice. Like I honestly like the zebra, like, and the snake. I like didn't use them at all, unless I absolutely had to use them. Like I was an elephant all the way. Anytime I could be an elephant, I was sucking up like everything in the level, and it pretty much worked like 90% of the time. But they're all really fun. I think my issue with the end game is that if you go through the layers, it'll tell you you're missing bananas, but like some of them have zero explanation. And I think the assumption is you're supposed to do the rehearsals first before you try and get any of the other things. And I didn't do that. I tried to like just figure out where the other bananas were first and do the rehearsals last. And they kind of like, it kind of just wastes your time. I went all the way to the end of the game and it was like, oh, you need to do this other stuff first. And it's just like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like, I guess I just wasted 20 minutes coming down to the bottom level of
But did you waste 20 minutes if you were having fun just punching shit and running around? That's the question.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you're not chasing anything around. Like, it tells you where stuff is, so it's just kind of like,
right.
I don't know. I was also one of those people that, like, I killed so much stuff. Like, I destroyed levels of that game. Like, there is nothing left. Like, barren wasteland. And if there was still a banana I needed, like, I would just pay for the wherever just to tell me where it was. Because it's just like, I'm not going to go online. Like, they do it for you. And like the skill, if there's not a mini game or something involved in it, then it's whatever to me.
I think that, I didn't feel too bad like finding maps or whatever that would tell me where stuff is, because you still, sometimes when you get there, you have to find them. And I mean, especially the fossils, like having the fossils show up on your map, I think is really nice. I'm into it. I don't feel like it's cheating or anything to like use the sonar and like look for stuff like that. I think it's just part of what makes the game fun. And that whole kind of,
Otherwise, like after a certain point, you're just turning into a prospector, like just dredging through every single inch of the map in the hopes that you're going to find anything, and that can kind of be grinded in and of itself, to the point that the game gives you banana maps like of its own volition without you even having to buy them. If you just punch through enough stuff, eventually you're going to get a map to one.
Yeah, like the RNG with especially if you're wearing the treasure tie that gives you more treasure boxes or treasure chests. That's such thing as box.
I also have this Donkey Kong amiibo.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing it gives you is that Pauline costume, like early, so you get like a better chance at getting the records from killing enemies. So that's cool.
I definitely like that. I like having the ability to do that, but I do not like seeing young Pauline dressed up as old Pauline. It's just not working for me.
Yeah,
like any there's like a few costumes that she gets in the core that are like that, where she has like a blonde wig on or whatever, like looking like the original lady from the original Donkey Kong. But most of them I hate. There's one that actually most of Pauline's outfits throughout the entire game I hate. There's one dress that you get in the core that I really like, and I've just stuck with it because I think it's like the one good looking dress that she has throughout the entire game. And so I've just been like, whatever abilities I get from any of this other Pauline stuff, I don't care. Aesthetically, I think all her outfits are kind of garbanzo beans. But what did you have there, Jordan?
On her outfits, Valerie kept asking me, where are Pauline's shoes? None of the outfits have shoes. You're running around. It's rocky. It is not smooth terrain. Her feet would be cut up. I guess she's like riding on Donkey Kong the whole time. But I'm like, where are her shoes? And then even when you finish the game and you see her like busking on the streets of New Donk City, still no shoes. I'm not going to New Donk City with no shoes on. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, she's going to step on a heroin needle or something and end up with AIDS. That's a terrible fate for a 13-year-old. But I think that overall I've been really enjoying the kind of the zen'd out relaxation of just like searching for all the fossils and bananas. You know, I'm at about I think overall I'm at just under 700 bananas, but I think like the actual ones that you can really like actually collect, I'm at 593. So it's like, cause you can buy more with Banandium chips and whatever, like past the limit or whatever. So it's like out of the 777 bananas you can get, I'm at just about 600 right now. Right. And I think that I'm into it. I like that when you open up the map, you can switch to a mode that like shows you the bananas you've gotten. So if you like know what number banana that you still need to find, you can like look around that area without like straight up buying a map that tells you exactly where it is. That's how I've been doing it for the most part. It does mean that I've, put probably about 55, 60 hours into this game right now. A lot of that just aimlessly wandering around, but I'm cool, man. It's crazy how much gameplay and content there is in this game if you really stretch it all out, right?
Did they add bananas like after you roll credits?
Yes.
Because okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure because I was collecting maybe about half to 2/3 depending on the layer, and it kind of got progressively less on each layer because I was like, I don't know if they're going to add more or not. I don't really know if this is ever going to be a gate at all. I kind of did spoil myself a little bit in the Discord when people were like, you can beat this game with collecting no bananas. And I was like, okay, great. Now that like takes the pressure off to just kind of like collect all of the transformations and just like push my way through. But yeah, that's Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tommy. Sorry that happened to you.
You're good. I have every fossil. I have 850 bananas right now.
Wow.
I haven't bought in one extra one. So there's a lot. I think at 1,000 you get some stupid thing that changes
who knows
character. But I don't know. I'm not 100% sure what it is, and I'm guarantee you it's not worth the time if that's how you're doing it. Other than to just have fun getting them all.
It's about the journey, man.
Become more muscular.
Unless you're doing
Their
Koroks.
asses become more visible after 1,000.
Everybody gets cheeked up. Yeah.
Ace Donkey Kong's ass also gets bigger after you collect 1,000 bananas.
That's nice. They should have added jiggle physics to Donkey Kong's ass. I've been saying that this whole time. There's also when you beat all the Bananza transformations, there's also like there's a final stage. I know I've gotten to it. I got to it like right before we recorded this. I have not beaten it yet. I tried it a few times. It is very hard. Rory, you have beaten it. Is there like a little cutscene at the end of everything whenever you finish that?
I paused it to go sit at a bar with my girlfriend right after I finished it. You get to a point where all the elders are standing around you, and I paused it right there, and something maybe happens after that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we got something to look forward to, is what you're saying.
I got through what is like definitely the ultimate climax of the level as you play it.
Right. Yeah, for sure. That's a very Mario thing too. Like the Victory Road, Mario Galaxy, 3D World. Like they all have those like really intense final stages for the true diehards.
This is the one that feels like absolutely, definitely, this is the end. You run by some letters to say thank you. Sorry to spoil that for you. But that's like, if that's not the end of it, fucking wrap it up.
Yeah.
There's like,
well, that reminds me of Mario World, where it like the coin saying thank you for playing or whatever. Like that's very old school Nintendo. I love that. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know yet if Pauline successfully performs after that, or if maybe she gets horrible laryngitis and her voice is completely destroyed after.
She stepped on too many needles, man. You gotta wear shoes.
Do that K-Rool fight again.
Yeah. K-Rool comes back. It's like,
back in New Donk City, a pigeon flew directly into her throat.
Oh no!
Eviscerating her vocal cords.
What are we talking
her
about?
Dream of singing is over.
We'll have to see.
She becomes a beast.
We're leaving one thing for you completely unspoiled here, as you can see. We haven't all totally 100% of this game. I do wonder, like, what happens when you get every banana too. Like, if there is any.
I'm pretty sure I know, and it's not anything crazy.
Okay, interesting. Well, I'm gonna do it anyway.
It's probably like
me too.
Yeah. But no, it's great
you
stuff.
Get a little hat. Probably something of that.
Something
caliber.
like that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we can kind of start towards wrapping up some of our thoughts on, or like our spoiler thoughts on Donkey Kong Bananza here. I think, obviously, I do think that ways they could improve in the future is obviously that there's no real true co-op. But at this point, I don't think that we ever will have that in a future game, to be honest. I think, if they didn't fix it between Odyssey and this, it's clearly not their focus. Their focus is on making a good single player game, and maybe something that someone who's not as into games can join along with and feel like they're doing something, right?
My interpretation of like the co-op with both this and Mario Odyssey are that they're things for adults to do with their small child who wants to play the video game with them.
Yeah.
Where you just give them like some sort of arbitrary task that like you don't need it done, but you make like your 5-year-old feel like they're helping. Kind of sweet.
No, it's great. I saw a great video of, I think it was Grand Pooh Bear, who got the world record for co-op with his like 6-year-old kid. You know what I mean? And it was just like, because he's like a world-renowned speedrunner, right? And he's like really good at the game. And for at least a little bit, had the world record with a 6-year-old, which was pretty cool. And so like that is kind of heartwarming to see. I really like that. I also just think like eventually that is going to get completely busted open by 2 real adults. You know what I mean? And I think just in general, a reason that I wanted to like finish this game like kind of quickly was because I just wanted to watch the speed runs. And like speed runs right now, the speed run scene for this game is evolving rapidly. Like I don't know if you guys have watched any of that, but there's all this crazy tech that people can use. I think right now the only Bananza transformation that people pick up is the ostrich. Like they don't pick up anything. I think you have to pick up Kong Bananza. But other than that, it's like they skip all the other ones. They barely get any bananas. It's kind of just seeing all the tech, like you can take a rock, do a chunk jump or whatever. And then also attack while you like basically chunk cancel or whatever, or turf cancel. I don't know exactly what they call it, as you're like going over big gaps, and it gives you a little bit of extra momentum. And I think just recently they discovered you can like turf cancel endlessly. So basically you don't even need the ostrich transformation anymore. Like DK can just fly indefinitely by like canceling his like animation of like the turf surfing. So it's like, and right now, actually, I think within the speedrun community, there are people talking about we should maybe ban that in the any % run, right? Just so that it's more entertaining to watch. But I think regardless, I think right now the world record's at about 1 hour, 16 minutes. And I think a sub 1 hour, especially if they use that new technique, is possible. But I think I don't know, as a fan of speedrunning, this has been very, very entertaining to watch the evolution of the Donkey Kong Bananza speedrun. Can't wait to see where it goes in the future. It's going to get absolutely bonkers. Anybody have anything else they want to add? Jordan, is there anything from this list you want to bring up before we close this out?
We've been talking so positive about the game. I just want to bring up one thing, but the camera was like probably the wonkiest part of this game, especially when you just I got lost in digging. And then suddenly I'm like, can't see my character. I don't know where I am. I have no idea what's going on. And just trying to get out of a hole felt very difficult. And like just trying to control the camera, like couldn't keep up. But I honestly don't know what they could do to improve or make it better, because it's just like the nature of what the game is. But there was a couple times where like I had some issues like moving because the camera was like doing some weird wonky stuff. Not quite as bad as, N64 era, but it's something to note.
I was about to say, like, I definitely had to fight with the camera a couple of times, but there's just some level in my head of doing
the landfill layer?
That where, like, it just felt like playing an N64 game, and it just feels spiritually correct to playing Donkey Kong in 3D, that you are going to have a hard time with the camera for no reason.
No one's really done stuff like this before. We were going through the terrain like this. It's kind of no one knows. It reminds me of like the early N64 games when they were like figuring out what to do with cameras in the first place.
I was saying I'm sorry because just completely unrelated, but just because your background is blurred, Jordan. Every now and again, you take a drink of your beverage and it looks blurred. It looks like you're drinking something really
something like a nudie drink. Yeah.
It's also yellow, which just makes
Yo, no more drinking piss on camera, Jordan.
I was trying to be a banana. What
no,
I don't know.
Not at all. That's disgusting, and I do not approve. I mean, I agree. I think that there's definitely some weirdness with this game, but I think it's also, like I said, I think it's the first time that anyone's really tried to do this before. Like you were saying, Tommy, the landfill layer. I mean, that layer blew my mind. I was like, wow, the entire thing is like underground pretty much. And it's like you're really digging your way all the way through. That was like really hard for me to wrap my head around. Yeah. But it was pretty incredible, and I think that they ultimately pulled it off. I'm happy with it. I think if they do another one of these games, which who knows, they never made an Odyssey sequel. We all thought there would be an Odyssey 2 coming, and instead they did this. So it's like, who knows when the next game's going to be? Is it going to be a crossover? Is it going to be, what do we think, right? I mean, we don't have to go into that necessarily. I think we could do a whole episode on that, to be honest. But I think I was very impressed with what they were able to do, given that it was their first go as a lot of this stuff. You have in here comparisons to other games. Obviously, this is there's a lot of Nintendo DNA in this, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of Tears of the Kingdom whenever he's dropping from layer to layer and going into the underground. Obviously there's a ton of Odyssey. It's basically an Odyssey sequel, right? You had a couple other ones in here. Do you want to go through some of those, Jordan?
Yeah, one that also just came to mind when you're saying like no one's ever done this before, but I was like, well, I did play Deep Rock Galactic, and it is first person,
right?
Which fixes the camera issue and makes it a lot easier to do. Same with Minecraft.
Yeah.
So
totally.
it's like those two games both make it a lot easier to kind of like navigate a ever changing world in front of you. I was just kind of like struck by like, I played Astrobot recently and I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is kind of like Astrobot-esque in just like the amount of joy and like references to previous Donkey Kong Country games kind of tied for me.
Sure. Yeah.
And then just like other newer 3D platformers. And David, I was going to ask you, like, how does this compare to, the 3D platform renaissance we're currently going through? Like, where does this rank in that for you?
I mean, it's very, very different, like this game obviously is a 3D platformer, but it also just like is doing its own thing with the digging mechanics and the punching and all that kind of stuff so much that it like really feels fresh. And it's like, and I actually really appreciate like going back to a game like Aero Machina, which I played the test flight of recently, and a few of the other like indie 3D platformers that I really enjoy, that they are a little bit more like standard, streamlined experiences, where this really feels like a big playground, like quite literally a sandbox, where you can shape anything to your will and do whatever you want. I think that this is kind of light years ahead of what other people are doing in a lot of ways. And it's not like to say that, it's, woke to some new thing in 3D platforming that everybody else is like not hip to, but it's like, it just makes it feel very unique and its own thing, which I just love. I was not, I always knew that Donkey Kong deserved a 3D platformer, but I didn't really think that it would like revolutionize an entire genre. It really feels like there's no game like this out there, even though it is an amalgam of a lot of different inspirations and stuff like that. But I think that that's probably where we should maybe end it. Does anybody have any last closing thoughts that they want to say that we didn't get to? There's so much we could still talk about, but anybody have anything they want to throw in before we close it?
I just wanted to add, bouncing off of comparing it to Astrobot, which I really enjoyed that game, but I really liked that the ways in which Donkey Kong Bananza was referencing other previous parts of particularly Donkey Kong history were more seamlessly integrated into the gameplay itself, rather than the way that Astrobot, which is a game that I really enjoy mechanically, but there is still just perpetually this oddness to it, that it is ultimately a advertisement for the PlayStation 5. You have to buy and play on a PlayStation 5.
Right.
And frequently, when it's not just reminding you, like, hey, you should have bought a PlayStation 5 already. Cool that you did that. It's reminding you of games that you cannot play at all because they're
you could play
or whatever.
You could play Donkey Kong Bonanza on like a ROG Ally and not feel weird about it.
Yeah, you can also play it on this. I think you can play it on the Switch, right? Aren't most of them available through like the backwards?
Well, not this game. This game cannot run on Switch 1. This is a Switch 2 exclusive, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's also definitely a lot easier to emulate the Donkey Kong games that are not available officially.
Oh, I see. Like the original games you're saying. Yeah, you can play those. Yeah. Those are on the Switch, yes.
You can play this backwards compatibly if you're playing it co-op, right? You can play on the Switch 1.
Kind of, through Game Share. Yeah, so you can definitely, if you're playing co-op, you can play as Pauline on a second console if you're in the same room, but you wouldn't be able to use mouse mode. So it's just play it on a TV. There's no need to do that, guys. We're over again. Game Share has been a little bit of a disappointment, if I'm going to be honest, from Switch 2 so far. It's because it looks like down res as well. It's like lower. It looks streamed. Whenever
I haven't
you're playing
even tried any of that.
It's weird. Yeah. Hopefully they add it though into UFO 50. That would actually be pretty cool. But anyway, I say we call it there. This has been a great discussion. K Rool's back, baby. I am so happy. Anybody who knows me knows how much I love that big, stupid green motherfucker. So I was so happy. Yes. My jaw was on the floor for the entire ending of this game. I think it really stuck the landing, and not that earlier the game was not very good, but just the whole ending of that game really made my entire perspective on this game really, really, really positive. So what an absolute masterpiece from Nintendo. Incredible, launch to the Switch 2 generation. Hopefully we see lots more games like this in the future, but we're going to call it there and move on to our last section of the show, which is the games we're playing recently. So I've been playing a lot of games. I played one of the games that you'll be talking about here, Jordan, which I took off my list. And then also, obviously, the Dragon Drive demo. I played a lot of that today, and I really loved it. Obviously, more Donkey Kong Country. But I want to talk about 2 indies that I played recently, one of which was called Fall Structure. I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce it, but this is a free game by the developer of the video game Mosalina. If you guys ever played that was a really fun, very cheap 2D kind of puzzle platformer game. This is very much like Going Up. Remember those like the like viral like FPS like platforming Going Up games? This was that, but you're going down. Like it's, you are straight up just like descending a giant megastructure and trying to get to the bottom. It gave me a lot of Lawrence Lure vibes, which I really enjoyed that game as well. And this was just like a really fun game to stream. I beat it in about 50 minutes. It's a free game. Definitely worth playing. I really enjoyed it on Steam. It also has Steam Workshop support, so people can add their own levels to it, which is pretty cool. Definitely, I actually downloaded the VOD when I streamed this on Twitch because it was a great game to just like have conversations to. Like I was like talking about like grief and like moving on and like mourning and like a lot of like serious shit while like in between I was like fuck shit like as I was like restarting my runs. But that was a pretty fun time. I really enjoyed Fall Structure. And then also another indie game that I played also on my Steam Deck, but this is also available on the Switch, is Tori Saturn. Friend of the show Marcus from Ciactro Games has come out with the newest in the Tori series, and this is by far the best one yet. It's still a very short snack game, as Ciactro is one to make. They make, it's a $5 game here, but it's a ton of fun. It's got really fast movement. It's got kind of this like drop dash sort of thing, similar to Sonic, so you can beat these levels really, really quickly. And also the soundtrack to this game is incredible. It's got like tons and tons of like vocals and lots of different styles. I think many different artists actually contributed to the soundtrack for this game. So this is definitely the most fully featured Tori game so far. All the Tori games are fun to play, especially if you like speed-based 3D platformers. But that's mostly the games that I've been playing other than the ones I talked about. Jordan, what about you? What have you been playing recently?
So based on the past couple Nintendo showcases, the Indie and the Partner Showcase, I played 2 demos. I played The Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales, which was fantastic. It's exactly what I wanted. It was kind of like a weird, kind of like a Zelda game, but like more of an action RPG style game. And I'm really kind of curious to see how that game evolves. I will say the fairy was my like number one complaint. The fairy talked like entirely too much. And like I was playing it, at the same time as I was playing Donkey Kong Bananza, where I was like, Pauline talks just the right amount. Yeah. Like everyone could learn a little bit about your side character talking by playing Bananza, because she just chimes in right when it's needed, or if there's like one enemy left and it's like actually helpful. Mm-hmm. In this game, it was like super annoying. And I feel like it's because it was a showcase demo that they wanted to kind of like help newer players along that maybe are not familiar with this type of game. But I'm like, dude, I played so many Zelda games, and also I have played so many of Team Asano games. Mm-hmm. That I do not need this. And actually it was actively annoying me, but I switched it to Japanese instead of English, and it did help. So
yeah, I did that too, but I was still annoyed. It's like, we really don't need to say all this shit. Like whenever there would be like a thing you could blow up, they're like, what if we could blow that up? And it's like, I fucking know. Okay. Yeah. Like, yeah, I really don't need you to tell me that. But yeah, it was a fun demo. I also really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I went and filled out the survey because I was like, Team Asano, I'm really rooting for y'all. You're making these HD 2D games that are all really solid. So the other demo I played was Mina the Hollower. I kind of talked about it earlier. It is like the best Game Boy Color game that never existed. It is so good. I was not quite expecting it to play so much like a Game Boy Color game. Like the movement feels closer to that because it's like a little bit like tough to move. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was like so spot on. The graphics are insanely gorgeous. The sprite work is top notch. The like I didn't really expect it to have multiple weapons. And it feels kind of like a top-down Zelda, but then you have this digging mechanic to like move around that is really cool. And so you're digging into the earth and discovering things as well. But then like I picked, for me personally, I picked the mace, which kind of is like a whip. And then I got an axe and I was like, oh shit, I'm just playing Castlevania right now. So it just like kind of mixes that with like Link's Awakening type of vibes. And I was enamored, and I'm really stoked for this to finally come out on Halloween. So I will
10/31.
Yeah, I'll definitely be picking this one up. But the demo was not long enough. It was like, I think I beat it in like 50 minutes, and I tried to do pretty much everything you could do. And I was just like, I just want more. So if you like that kind of stuff, definitely check it out. It's a very, very solid game. Rory, what have you been playing?
Donkey Kong. I'm playing Donkey Kong. Almost nothing for the last week, but Donkey Kong.
Hell yeah.
Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to try to figure out how any of the games in UFO 50 work. But after that, probably go back to what I was doing before that, which was playing Yakuza 0, the Switch port. I've played through the game in its entirety on PlayStation 4, but I love those games, and it's been long enough that I've forgotten most of what happens in 0, and I'm happy to just go there. I was just thinking I might have time to go to the grocery store before it closes and get a few cans of Asahi. And
I love Asahi Super Dry, man. That's my favorite beer.
Just get some Asahi Super Dry. Just role play being a dude walking around the red light district of Tokyo in the 80s. Just feels so fucking cool.
Absolutely. Everybody thinks Kirin Ichiban is Japan's best beer, but the real heads know it's Asahi Super Dry. Yeah. Absolutely. What about you, Tommy? What have you been playing recently?
Oh, well, obviously a lot of Donkey Kong. Aside from that, I'll probably be one of the few people that says I am playing Hollow Knight for the first time.
Ooh.
I've never played this video game before. If it's on PS5 or PS Plus, and I was like, well, now's the time. I might as well beat it before Silksong finally comes out, now that I know it's close at the very least. So I played about like 5 hours into it before Donkey Kong came out, so I put it aside. But the game's beautiful. I love it. I can't wait to play more of it. And then my 3 go-tos, I always play. They're all multiplayer. Play with my friends all the time. Marvel Rivals. I'm addicted to that video game. It's so fun. It just dumps free content at you every like 4 weeks. Space Marine 2 is a game I absolutely love. And there's a lot of free content in that. They're releasing the Season 2 pass, I think, this month.
Okay.
And they're adding a new character. I don't know if it's for free or not, but all the campaign stuff they're adding is free, and it's a ton of fun. And then Helldivers 2, I play that with a lot of my friends, and that's an easy jump in, jump out game. So that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Nice. Yeah, I saw for the first time over the past weekend, I saw Starship Troopers for the first time. And I loved it. Yeah, I'd never seen it before.
Whoa,
I loved it. I saw it at the Paramount. It's pretty incredible. And,
I almost went to that.
Yeah, and
I went to that too.
I brought my parents when they were in town, and that was a good time. I was like, maybe I should play Helldivers. That seems like
it's so fun.
That'd be a fun game to play. But
it's so fun.
Well, I think that is just about gonna do it for this episode. Thank you so much to both of you, Rory and Tommy, for coming on the show. Such a delight to have you on, and so great to squeeze 2 episodes out of Donkey Kong Bananza at the very least. Maybe we'll do another one in the future. We love talking Kong.
There's so much of it.
On this podcast. Yeah, it's a whole lot of game. It was more game than I was anticipating, to be honest.
A lot of game, a whole lot of content you can make about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great time to be a producer of content. Also, thank you to MilkyWay.co for doing our website. Thank you to Corduroy for doing our music. Thanks to all of our patrons on Patreon. And if you'd like to find me online, I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet at Monolith Fiji.
You can find me at Bordan.
What about you, Rory? Where can people find you online?
Just Google Rory Blank, and you will either find me or you will find one of the thousands of like SEO optimized websites that exist to sell bootlegs of my art.
That's true. Yeah, definitely.
Probably me first, but I don't think there's anyone else named Rory Blank. So pick whichever platform. just look up that name. I'll probably be there.
That's right. That's right. Rory is an amazing artist and comic creator, and you make T-shirts and all different sorts of stuff. So
that's what the giant pile of shit that's been behind me this whole time is.
Exactly. Yeah.
And this is the glove that I wear when I'm using my tablet, which I forgot to take off and realized I've had on for the whole past hour.
Well, it's how we know you're an artist, Rory. It's your artist credo. What about you, Tommy? Where can people find you online?
You can find me Muskrat Wombat Swampcat on Instagram, or Backyard Boys with a Z TV. That's where we do sketch comedy. David, you and Rory have been in something of ours, Maximum Turbo. We have a new short that's called Duffel Bag Full of Cobras that we kind of had going around the Austin scene for a minute there. So you can check that out too if you want.
Awesome. That's Backyard Boys with a Z, you said, yes?
Yes.
Just like Super Switch Headz. We are one in the same. We come from the same cloth. You love to see it.
There you go.
Very good. Definitely. It's great to share a podcast with a bunch of artist types one of these days. Great stuff. Great talking to you guys. If you'd like to find our show on social media, we are at Switch Headz on Blue Sky and Twitter, at Super Switch Headz on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We have a website, switchheadz.com, and we have a Discord, a Facebook group, and a Patreon, as we have mentioned. We'd love it if you could chuck in a buck on the Patreon if you're so inclined and you're a little cash rich at the moment. We could definitely use the support. Also, join us on our Discord. We would love to have you over there. And please, if you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe and leave a comment. Share it around. Leave us a review on Apple and Spotify, all that good stuff. And join us on the Discord. Such a wonderful community out there. We'd love to have you. We'll have links to all of those in the description of this episode. So please join us there. That's going to do it, gang. Love to see it. We're going to be back next week with another great episode. We're going to be going way more into detail on Nintendo's new budget title, Drag and Drive. But in the meantime, you guys know the deal. Be safe out there. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to one another. Get all 777 bananas in Donkey Kong Bananza so you can finally feel something. We love you very much. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.